My name is Adam Reeder, but most people call me the Professor of Rock. I have to tell you, I feel extremely blessed because I've had the unique opportunity to converse with some of the greatest artists in the history of popular music. Truth is, I've always been obsessed with music ever since I can remember. It's like that song, Don Henley song, Somewhere Back There in the Dust, there's that same small town in each of us. And that song really resonates with me because that's where it all started for me. I grew up in a small town in Idaho, the potato capital of the world. So I'm sitting here in the English literature classroom where I used to go to school, Snake River High School. I remember sitting in this classroom and I always had my nose in a book. Anything I could get my hands on about rock and roll music, whether I got it at the library or a magazine or whatever it was. We had a very distinguished gentleman who was a teacher here. And I remember him singling me out in front of the class many times and saying, Mr. Reeder, you're never gonna amount to anything. You're the king of useless information. You're never going to amount to anything with your nose in a book about rock stars or pop music. Funny thing is, I use it every day.
Where do you do? You've done research, boy, I'll tell you.
Really?
Yeah.
I love
it's
these
like
facts.
a record, yeah.
You really are the professor.
You've been doing your homework, haven't you? He's nailing down each, iconic story.
You know my career better than I do.
Like everyone else says, this is the coolest interview I've ever done. Seriously, the best.
My poets were always like Springsteen and Morrissey and Billy Joel, and I learned more from a 3-minute record than I ever learned in school. I used to purposely miss the bus because when I rode with my parents, I could hear the radio. I listened to the Top 40 Countdown with Casey Kasem every single week. I watched thousands of hours of MTV back when they actually played music. So this is a field behind my house. I used to move pipe and I got paid $3 a line. I would have to move 3 lines of these. And that would earn enough for me to buy a tape, a cassette, or a CD. I remember riding my bike down to the store and getting the album the day it came out. And that feeling, that power of having that music is just amazing. And that's what we're gonna celebrate on this channel. Growing up, my dad and I, when he put me to bed at night, he didn't read me fairy tales or whatever. He would tell me stories about the Beatles and the Beach Boys and Creedence Clearwater Revival, Crosby, Stills and Nash, and we couldn't agree on anything. But the one thing that we did agree on or that we could talk about was music. It was the thing that brought us together. And now, decades later, I've had the opportunity to sit down with his heroes that in turn have become my heroes. And I've had a chance to ask them about the great songs. And that's what's cool is we've collected 400 interviews. We've curated the story behind thousands of songs, and we've turned those songs into mini documentaries with the actual artist that tells the story behind the songs. And all of those are available at professorofrock.com. This channel will be supporting that content. Twice a week, we're gonna celebrate the golden era of pop music. I'm talking about the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s with probably a focus more on the latter too, but it'll be like your bi-weekly pop fix. For boomers and Gen Xers, it's gonna be like a potent dollop of nostalgia. For millennials, it's gonna be a look back at the way things really were, celebrating those great songs. Like, remember the first time I heard Peter Gabriel's So and riding my bike home with my Walkman on here in the Red Rain, and how it just lifted my spirit. And those things are really important. And that's what this community celebrates. So subscribe. If you're a music fan, you better subscribe because we're gonna celebrate the great ones, the great music, the great artists. Because guys, we're losing these legends every single day. And it's important to remember those songs and celebrate them. So subscribe right now, help us build this community and make it the best it can be.